Hello. Okay. As per usual, listening to the theme song, though I'm going to turn it up a little because I've noticed some of my past streams it's been quieter than I meant it to be. Also, don't mind me just fussing with my light settings. Oh, and also, hello to Pow, and while this is running, I will go set up my captions, because I did forget those. The ocean and stars, but her cry echoes around the simple loss of love in her heart, making this whole fairy tale. Uh-oh. Why can't you hear things? I do not know the answer to that. This was never meant to happen. T'Pau, can you still not hear things? Aw, that's fair, John. Oh, good, good. Maybe, T'Pau, maybe you have your browser muted? Oh, well, hopefully you have the captions on, or else you can't hear me say that. But, thank you for confirming, John. And let's, yeah, so look forward to the exciting penultimate chapter. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Penultimate chapter of Rumpel's Root. We have already resolved the romance, which makes me think that the next two chapters are going to be action-y exciting. Because, like, basically Lucette and Rumpel had a cute moment last chapter, and they officially got together. I feel like I should wait for T'Pau to get back to update. So, the main things going on right now, oh, right, we found out that Rumpel's real name is Chevalier. Both he has broken his curse. Lucette, I believe, is still at 2 out of 3, because it makes sense that she would not, unless I'm misremembering a third. I don't think she's broken the curse yet. I feel like I'd remember that happening, but then again, you know, third route through. And so we've got word that there is trouble at the castle. So in Rod's route, the trouble was, well, you're at the castle, and you have Mithros and what's his name? The guy who is the head of the captain of the guard, is the captain of the guard, and Fritz's father, Sir Alcaster. Yep. So Alcaster and Mithros are like the problems, usually, it seems. So Rod's route, it was Alcaster tried to initiate a coup, but Mithros like stopped him in his tracks. And then in Karma's route, we had Alcaster actually succeeds in his coup, and so we had to like go rescue the king. And in that route, he just straight up like killed Mithros. So it seems in this route, where like, so it was no one was really a threat in Rod's route. Only Alcaster was a threat in Karma's route, and it seems like only Mithros is a concern in this route. And so Mithros, his real name, we've already gotten revealed previously that he is a witch, and his real name is Myth. Everyone's really unhappy about finding this out, but nobody knows. I think nobody's sure exactly what he wants. At this point, and, like, I know, like, Delora and them were kicking themselves for not being able to figure it out. It's, like, but, it was pointed out, he had a glamour. So the fact that his name was Myth, and he went by Mithros, and that was not immediately obvious, was actually explained by, look, he was using a glamour. It's no one's fault, nobody, like, that's just how glamours work. Trouble at the Castle is the name of my Bardcore Fallout Boy tribute band. I mean, why not Panic at the Disco tribute band? That even fits the same theme. Trouble at the Castle, Panic at the Disco. I'd totally have that be my Panic at the Disco Bardcore tribute band, personally. But you do you, Johnny One Take. Alright, aha! Hello, welcome back to POW. So, in Chapter 8, Lucette and, so Rumpel's real name is revealed as Chevalier, and, right, you were there for that, I think. Oh, John, I see, too obvious. And, yeah, no, that is also fair, like, a Panic at the Disco themed name as a Fall Out Boy cover band is a good nod to their stylistic similarities. But yes, to POW, I believe I already, like, caught you up a bunch last time. Of course, ask any questions you need, but you were around last time, so you saw Chevalier and Lucette and Chevalier got together and stuff, and we have learned that the trouble at the castle is Myth, aka Mithros, or his real name is Myth, and he is a witch, and this time we're gonna find out, like, so last time we got the Alcaster pulls a coup route, and this time we're gonna get the whatever the heck Myth is up to. And I know Chevalier ran off to go be a doctor, and Lucette is like, I gotta do something. Chapter 9, The Witch Puppet. That's a heck of a name. Yeah, it was, I think, Myth, like, he deposed the king. He initiated a coup, and he deposed the king, but didn't declare himself ruler instead. He hasn't declared anyone ruler yet, so it's a little unclear even to the people in the game what, like, or especially perhaps to the people in the game, what he actually wants. He hasn't really made any demands yet. He's just been like, hi, yes, your king is no longer in charge. That is me now. Or rather, that, not me now, because he specifically didn't put himself on the throne. He's like, your king is no longer in charge. I'll get back to you. It's basically where he was. So, oh gosh, the Witch Puppet is a heck of a name. I already said that, but like, well, let's look forward to what fun and excitement might come our way this time. Chevalier. Another long night. Lucette. Silence. The two of us are on our way back to the Marchen after visiting a clinic in town. We were there for hours, and it is a relief to be out in the open now, where I can feel the wind on my skin. Chevalier. Are you okay, princess? I know that what you saw... I'm not. I'm out of practice. I went 2 weeks. I can't do Rumpel's voice. Are you okay, princess? I know that what you saw must have been difficult. I'm sorry I couldn't shield you from the majority of it. Lucette, thinking to herself. And I mean, to be fair, him having a less over-the-top voice now would be totally fitting, because the whole point is, like, he is learning to calm down a little. So, alright, let me, start from Chevalier's line again. Are you okay, princess? I know that what you saw must have been difficult. I'm sorry I couldn't shield you from the majority of it. Lucette, thinking to herself. I volunteered to help Chevalier at the clinic part-time, but it is worse than I had expected. Many of the soldiers have severe wounds. I had thought that most of the injuries sustained by the knights during the upheaval were only minor, but I was wrong. Their injuries are much worse. Chevalier. Princess? He reaches out and laces his fingers through mine, then gives me a soft smile as he squeezes my hand. Are you okay? Lucette. I am fine. Thinking to herself. It has only been 1 day since the uprising at the palace. I had thought that there would be less blood. I was wrong. Out loud. Is this what things were like after the Great War? Chevalier. I wasn't a fully certified doctor after the Great War, but I was an assistant. It was far worse than this, princess. Lucette. Silence. Thinking to herself. We cannot have a repeat of the Great War. I do not know why Mithros would kill Sir Alcaster and take the throne without claiming the crown, but the witches already have a bad name, and he is making it worse. I cannot help but remember the wide smiles Mithros gave me when I was still living in the palace. Every time I felt his eyes on me, I felt there was something strange about him. Lucette, thinking to herself. There was always a cloudiness to his eyes, something unreadable. He was excellent at his job, but always an enigma outside of it. A sudden breeze chills my skin. Chevalier. Let's go back before you freeze out here. The two of us begin our walk back to the Marchen. Thoughts of the palace, the king, and my stepfamily cloud my mind. Since I have been staying at the Marchen, I have not seen Rod once. I was never sure if it was because he was ignoring me, or if it was because he only wanted to speak to Parfait. Lucette, thinking to herself. Regardless, I hope Rod and his family are okay. I would never wish this treatment upon anyone, not even to ones I hated. As we walk, I glance up at Chevalier, whose head is tilted skyward. I catch the glimmer of lights in his eyes and smile. Even for just a moment, I can forget about everything when I am beside him. He has a way of taking the weight off of my shoulders. I'm gonna say I'm totally here for, like, the romance is resolved earlier and we get to have some cute and now they're dating content along with the story. Lucette, thinking to herself. But as the crown princess, I cannot let others carry my burden for me. I must find ways to protect the others. Even if it means putting myself in danger or harming someone in order to protect someone else. Oh gosh, out loud. Lucette says, what do you think is the easiest and fastest way to kill someone? Chevalier, shocked. Okay, you know what? This new island, you can test a theory I have. And why won't it go away? I ruined everything. No, that's not true. I done messed up. I'm trying to fix the commercial issue. Okay, cool. Commercials for the military? Oh my. Alright, so I didn't catch exactly when you went on commercial, but let me just, take this back one, because I think there's only one major thing you've missed. But also, I'm gonna test something out. I'm gonna try making you, because I still have a ton of VIP slots, and I can always revoke it if I need it for something else. But I'm going to make you a VIP this new island, and you should tell me if that makes commercials go away for you. Yeah, so Lucette had a bunch of internal thoughts about how back. The whole point was I was going back. I meant to go forward. Okay. Yeah, anyway, I don't know exactly where we left off, but point being, she has a bunch of internal thoughts about how she has to do something. It's her responsibility as the crown princess. Can't let this get as bad as the Great War. Gosh, what is Mithros up to? I gotta be prepared to do what it takes, even if it means putting myself in danger or, like, harming another person. And so she follows that up with, what do you think is the easiest and fastest way to kill someone? Out loud asked of Chevalier. So I'm interested to see how he answers that. Chevalier, shocked. Chevalier's body goes rigid beside me. He stops to stare at me, wide-eyed. Lucette, I am asking just in case I am ever in danger. I have never fought anyone before. I can retaliate, but I do not know how to actually harm anyone. Chevalier, to kill someone is to end a life. It is stealing away a life that others might love. You bear the burden of that death for the rest of your life. I pull myself away from him. Out loud. But Mithros is not an innocent man. Would you rather he kill the royal family instead? Chevalier. No, it's not that, Princess. I know he must be stopped at any cost. It's just... I would never want you to have to kill someone. Lucette. How would you know what it was like to kill someone? You have only ever helped people, not hurt them. Yep. He's been close enough to death, I'm willing to believe he can speak on the topic. Chevalier. You saw the soldiers in the clinic today. You saw how close some of them were to death. Did you see the hollow look in their eyes? I have seen that look many times. It is the look of a man who clings desperately to life. Every life is precious. And a life is still a life, whether it's vile or not. It is still a responsibility you have to bear. I know how valuable and fragile lives are because I have helped so many people. Because I have helped so many people. Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty good response, honestly. It's like, look, even if they're bad people, like, all lives are valuable and have meaning, and it means it's a big deal to take a life. We stand quiet for a few moments, facing each other. I know I am at odds with Chevalier. He speaks the truth, but I also know that I must speak my own version of the truth too. Bria. And this is a flashback to Bria saying, the world is a place where only the strong survive. People are kind, but they will take advantage of those who are too caring. Lucette, thinking to herself. Bria told me that Chevalier was so selfless he became selfish. She told me that he had never had anything because he gave everything to others. His kindness has hurt others, and I fear that it has a likely chance to hurt him as well. What if his reluctance to hurt anyone causes him to be the one that is injured? That's also a really good point. Like for sure, I can get behind, like, Chevalier's all life is sacred, but, like, also, Lucette is making a really good point here. He goes so far out of his way to avoid causing anyone else harm that he causes himself harm along the way. And there's a middle ground there that he hasn't found yet. Chevalier suddenly breaks the silence. Chevalier. Oh, he's answering her. Most people think that the easiest way to kill a person is to stab them through the heart. Those people would be wrong. He puts his hand over his heart and stares dismally down at the ground. He removes his hand briefly, but only to reach for mine. Aw. He takes my hand and settles it on his chest, slightly to the left. I can hear the beating of his heart beneath my palm. It is soft and gentle. Chevalier. What can you feel besides the beating of my heart? Lucette. The ribs? Chevalier. Yes, in order to stab the heart, you'd have to get through the ribs. That's why most of the soldiers in there who got stabbed in the chest are still alive. If you want to quickly kill someone, you have to stab somewhere where it would be difficult to stem the blood from a wound. Do you have any idea where that might be? I know, IRL, I'm pretty sure the answer is the neck, although, like, what are you teaching? Anyway. But I'm gonna do my usual save at the choice, because I don't know if the right answer here is the literal correct answer, or the, like, which answer, like, which one's correct is not necessarily which one is correct for the romance. Also, I would think the neck, because there's not a major artery. There's a major artery in the neck, but there's not a major artery in the abdomen. Abdomen is just like, if you, I mean, people can also die from a gut wound, and often do, from what I have read, but, like, it takes a very long time. Also, I'm gonna get off of the gory topic any more than the game is doing, but generally something arteries. So, I'm gonna go with the neck. Lucette. The skin on the neck is thinner, and you have lots of blood flow underneath the skin, going right to your head. It would most likely be easier to slice or pierce something more vulnerable in the neck without running into as much resistance. Yeah, T'Pau, exactly. Like, the abdomen is more like, you can live through a stab wound that pierced the intestines, but it's not a pleasant way to live. Like, it can really, really fuck up your digestive system for the rest of your life. Whereas, you get an artery, you're gonna bleed out before it's a problem. It's a good thing you have no idea, though, T'Pau. I mean, I think it is understandable that, like, I kind of like the angle of Chevalier's like, okay, if you feel like you really need to know this, I'll give you the answer as someone with a, like, high knowledge of anatomy. But anyway, let's see if this was the right choice for the romance. Chevalier raises an eyebrow. Out loud. Did you happen to pick that up around the clinic? Lucette. No, I simply guessed. Yes! Correct answer is correct answer. Chevalier. Then you have a bright mind, princess. Chevalier moves my hand to the side of his neck. My fingers curl slightly when I feel his heartbeat reverberate beneath my fingers. This part is where you can find the jugular vein and the carotid artery. He runs my fingers down the length of it, and I shudder. A mischievous smile brightens his face. Not only does cutting at the neck stop blood from going to the head, but it also makes it spurt. Oof, this one's very descriptive here. I should put a content warning when I upload the video. Chevalier. If both the vein and the artery are cut, it only takes a minute. It only takes a minute to bleed to death. Thus, one of the best ways to kill a person would be through the neck. Lucette. Why are you telling me all this now? Chevalier. I was just enlightening a new pupil with an anatomy lesson. You asked me a question, and I responded as a teacher. Chevalier's fingers loosen on my hand, and I grasp his hand tighter in response. Chevalier. Princess, I don't want you to have to bear the burden of a murder. I promise that I'll protect you, so you don't have to defend yourself with violence. I can't use a sword or magic, and I don't know how to fight, but I will always be there to protect you. I may not have an abundance of muscles beneath these sleeves, but I am a doctor. No one knows the body better than I, so, though it may not be heroic, I know how to hurt a person. His sincere expression, though pained, tells me he is telling the truth. I do not want Chevalier to hurt a person either. It would destroy everything that he has worked towards as a doctor. Lucette, thinking to herself. He has seen so much suffering, and yet always seems untouched by it. I will do anything I can to protect his positivity. Alright, scene transition feels like a great place. I forgot to refill my water before starting the stream, so I'm gonna take a very quick break to go do that thing. Where is my BRB? Alright, properly fortified with water now. Let me just do the thing with the camera. No, that does not make... Yes. Okay, anyway. The Marchen was quiet when we returned. Everyone had already disappeared into their rooms, and so I went straight to mine. I also forced Chevalier to go back to his. He has been on his feet all day, and he needs the rest. I plopped down onto my bed as soon as we returned home. I glanced briefly to the side, where Chevalier's bouquet is in the vase Parfait had given to me. And that was a knock on the door in the game. Lucette says, "Who is it?" Parfait. Parfait. Parfait says Parfait. Lucette. Come in. Parfait. You've returned. Parfait looks paler than normal. I realize with a start that Chevalier did not tend to her at all today. Parfait. Don't look at me like that. I'm fine. How are the soldiers at the clinic? Lucette. Not good. Many of them have been gravely wounded. Some said they remembered magic. Others say that they do not remember anything at all. A shadow falls over Parfait's expression as she sighs. Parfait. So the circumstances are direr than we thought. It is a good thing that Chevalier is there to lend a helping hand. Lucette. Did you all manage to come up with a plan? Parfait. It's proving more difficult than we anticipated. Delora and I are willing to put ourselves in danger. Waltz is too, because he can use magic to a certain extent. The knights in Karma have their blades. But Chevalier... Lucette. I do not want to involve him in this. Parfait. Because you're worried about him. Lucette. Of course I am. Parfait. You've grown, princess. You remind me of a younger Hildir. I'm kind of glad to hear that. I love knowing, like, I'm really, I don't know, it means a lot to me that, like, her mother was a good person who was just fucked up by bad things happening and a crystal of darkness that she had been, like, and, like, the crystal of darkness kind of, enhanced her negative emotions and then kind of consumed her into this person that she was not. And I don't know, I kind of like that better than she was just awful. I mean, it's also more tragic, but, like, I don't know, I think it's nice for Lucette to be able to have, like, there was a time when your mother was a good person. Anyway, so Parfait. You remind me of a younger Hildir. Lucette, shocked. Parfait. Back then, Hildir was both calm and resilient. One moment she could be smiling ear to ear, the next she could be strict and unmovable as the coldest ice. The two of us were like sisters. We did so much together. We learned together, explored the kingdom together. I can say with all certainty that we were the best of friends. And then the fairy tales happened. When Hildir killed the first human, she was corrupted. Her darkness swallowed her whole. Lucette, thinking to herself, I do not remember a time before Mother was corrupted, and so I cannot imagine the woman Parfait describes. Parfait. I know the old Hildir would have wanted to show you the beauty in things, Princess. She would not want you to suffer. I'm sorry you became so embroiled in things. Lucette. It was inevitable. If Delora hadn't cursed me, then I would still be in the palace, and I would be just as helpless as everyone else. So while I am out here, I have the responsibility to help everyone. I touched the incomplete glass slipper at my neck. I still haven't even done 3 good deeds. Something tells me this is gonna count. Like, I feel like this is the right thing to do. Like, despite the dangers to me, is pretty good. Is a pretty good setup in my mind. Parfait. Don't look so sad. You will complete your 3 good deeds and things will go back to normal. And of course you'll still have friends here when you return. And come your 18th birthday, Delora and I will teach you about magic. Waltz is eager to help too. But for now, our top priority is a plan. Rest easy, Princess. Things will work out. She's so rose-colored glasses optimistic. I just hope that, she does at least seem pretty invested in doing something, so maybe some lessons were learned. But, like, gosh, is she a glass... Not even glass... glass half full? That's close enough to full, right? Like, that is the level of rose-colored glasses optimist Parfait is. It is hard to believe that this problem could be so easily solved, but I will try to believe, Lucette says, thinking to herself. When Parfait leaves, I am left to my own thoughts. Lucette, continuing to think to herself. I hope everyone at the palace is okay, and that they can hold on until we come up with our plan, but I feel like we are already running out of time. Days go by, and I find myself assisting Chevalier at times. Other times, I remain at the Marchen to help conceptualize a plan. None of our plans have actually shown any promise yet, but with all of our minds put together, we should be able to come up with something. Right, it was easier last time because they had Rod and Emmeline had escaped the palace in Karma's route, and, like, so they were able to kind of launch a rescue mission based on that. But this time they just got nothing. They're going in blind. And they don't even know what Mithros actually wants. A week later, I find myself standing outside the clinic door waiting for Chevalier. Chevalier. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Princess. Lucette. You can drop the title, you know. Chevalier. Lucette. But you are a princess in my eyes. Lucette. Yes, but you do not need to address me by title. Just my name is fine. Chevalier reaches out to take my hand, then immediately pulls his hand back, eyes wide. Ah, I forgot it. Lucette. Forgot what? Chevalier. The medicine I needed for Parfait. Give me a moment, Lucette. Chevalier plants a quick kiss on my forehead before running inside. I stare at the stars as I wait. I am so convinced that she's gonna get jumped, and Mithros is gonna try to use her for his evil plans. And Chevalier is gonna blame himself because he left her alone. Anyway, Lucette. I turn but see no one walking around the plaza. I inch closer to the door of the clinic as I take another look around. Man. Boo. Lucette. Shocked. Aw, yeah, that felt like Varg energy to me. Sneaking up behind her and going, boo. I suddenly see the silhouette of a man. He takes a few more steps towards me, and then stops in front of me. I recognize him immediately. His appearance left quite an impression on me the last time. Man. Out at night by yourself? Certainly you know that wolves prowl these streets at night. Lucette. What do you want? I take a step back and press myself to the door. I reach for the door handle, but the man reaches out a hand to grab my wrist, holding it to the door. Sorry, her question was, what do you want? Man. I'd say my answer to that question is complicated, Princess. Lucette. Shocked. Man. By the expression on your face, I must have hit the nail right on the head, eh? You are the princess. Lucette. How do you know who I am? Man. That is part of the mystery, isn't it? I attempt to wrestle my wrist out of his fingers. Man. Come with me quietly and you won't get hurt. Yeah, I cannot imagine scream for help not being the right answer here. Lucette, thinking to herself, I refuse to go anywhere with him. I open my mouth to scream, but before I can even breathe, the man's hand flies to my mouth. Man, you're a disobedient one, aren't you? I struggle against his grasp. It does not take long for the grin to fall from his face. It is replaced with a look that lacks any amusement. Man. I enjoy seeing you struggle, but I'm afraid we've been out here for far too long. I bang my shoulder against the door, and a resounding creak follows my attempt. Man. Shocked. Ha! Correct choice. No more Mr. Nice Guy. The man opens a small vial right in front of my face. Something sweet wafts in the air, and I suddenly feel myself falling into darkness as I collapse. Lucette. Silence. Oh, she has been brought back to her room. Lucette. Out loud. Where am I? I glance around me. Lucette. Shocked. Thinking to herself. My room. I look around cautiously, checking to see if anything in my room is different. Lucette, thinking to herself. The last time I was here was before I was cursed. How is it that this room is the same? Man. Sleeping Beauty has awoken. I move to stand up before realizing that my legs are numb. Man. Shame to see you so easily tamed, Princess. And here I thought you would be fun. I glance up to look at the man, who is now standing right at my bedside. Lucette out loud. How do you know who I am? Are you a witch? Man. A witch? Me? Ha! He bursts into laughter. I would rip the witches to shreds if I could. Lucette thinking to herself. If he could? Then... Out loud. You are cursed? The man simply smirks at me, but says nothing in response. He brushes the words aside with a gesture of his hand. Lucette. Are you working for Mithros? Man. Probably. I'm sorry, I still like Varg, even if he's being, like, you know, there wasn't as much here that was grabbing me as, oh no, I like this character more than I ought to, but the, are you working for Mithros? Probably. Is a great answer. Oh, I love that level of chaos. I glare at his vague answer. Man, my name is Varg, and I have been assigned to be your personal knight. Lucette, I already have a personal knight. Oh, Varg. Oh, you mean Fritz? I got rid of him. When Varg says, I got rid of Fritz, I doubt that means what I bet Lucette is going to take it as. Which is, I somehow don't feel that, Varg, you know, and Fritz are, you know, separate. They might be separate entities, but I don't think they're separate bodies. So anyway, Varg says, oh, you mean Fritz? I got rid of him. And Lucette was shocked. You... Mithros. No playing with the Queen's daughter, Varg. Mithros enters the room. Now he stands in the doorway, eyeing the both of us with a smile that is so oddly reminiscent of his usual one that it makes me sick. Lucette. Mithros. Mithros. Princess, you look more and more like your mother every day. Why, the scowl on your face is almost a perfect reflection. He moves to stand in front of me. At the same time, Varg begins to take slow and careful footsteps to the edge of my room. Lucette. What have you done with everyone? Mithros. Inconsequential or consequential? Lucette. What? Mithros clicks his tongue impatiently. And repeats, inconsequential or consequential people? A dude who is asking for that clarification is a capital P problem. I narrow my eyes at him. Lucette thinking to herself, I have no idea who he defines as inconsequential or consequential. Out loud. Where are the king and the rest of the family? Where is Fritz? Were you the one who killed Sir Alcaster? Mithros. Ah, inconsequential and consequential then. To start, your knight is gone, princess. I've replaced him with Varg here. Yeah, that sounds like when he says I've replaced him, that sounds like I placed a curse that made him into this other person. And Alcaster, well, we had a common cause at first. We both wanted the crown. Lucette, shocked. Thinking to herself, Sir Alcaster was also betraying the king? Mithros. But Alcaster was a brute. He wanted to needlessly kill the royal family and steal the crown for himself. At first I had thought he was calm and calculating. But it turns out he was just a power-hungry fool. Though I did want to take the crown, I wanted to avoid the bloodshed of certain important people. Mithros smiles at me. It is a look that makes my blood run cold. Mithros. So I disposed of him and the rest of his knights. Oh, but don't worry, princess. I assure you that your family is resting in their rooms, just like you are resting in yours. Okay, this new island, apparently that you still get commercials. I will pause here. And wait for this new island to confirm being back from commercials. I'm just trying to figure out where it makes sense to back. Oh, you are back already, Sapao. Okay. I was going back a little bit to try and make sure. Yeah. Though I did want to take the crown, I wanted to avoid the bloodshed of certain important people. Mithros smiles at me. It is a look that makes my blood run cold. Mithros. So I disposed of him and the rest of his knights. Oh, but don't worry, princess. I assure you that your family is resting in their rooms, just like you are resting in yours. Lucette. What? Mithros. Do not worry. You will see them shortly for dinner. Lucette, thinking to herself. I have my doubts about Mithros' story, but if what he said was true, then Sir Alcaster wanted to kill the royal family, and Mithros saved them. But then he decimated the knights and took the royal family hostage? Why would he do such a thing? Out loud. They're prisoners, then. Mithros. Prisoners in their own home? Nonsense. We're all just awaiting the Queen's return together. Oh shit! Is he planning to... Okay, so the question is he planning to, like, try and actually corrupt Lucette into something like Hildir, or is he trying to actually revive Hildir presumably through Lucette? Like, that feels like if he is actually trying to revive her, I would assume that it's one of those. And then I just need to, like, you know, body snatch her daughter and put her consciousness in that body. Yeah, so anyway, this is getting excitingly horrible. But yeah. So, let me reread that. Mithros. Prisoners in their own home? Nonsense. We're all just awaiting the Queen's return together. Lucette. The Queen? Slowly, I feel pieces beginning to fit together. Okay, fair enough. T'Pau, you were thinking he's trying to keep her and then, like, make her do stuff. Yeah, like, that's the other main thought I had, was that he's planning to magically brainwash her and, you know, have her be a puppet figure, like, puppet leader. Lucette, thinking to herself. The Queen. He cannot be talking about Ophelia. And here is a flashback. Lucette. Delora, do you think witches are capable of bringing back the dead? Oh my. I'd forgotten that she had idly wondered that. Lucette, shocked. Out loud. Mother is dead. Mithros. Is she really? Lucette, shocked. You can bring Mother back from the dead? Mithros. We can, princess. Lucette. We? Mithros. The Queen has been resting for a long time, waiting for you to gain your powers so that you can help her escape her prison. Lucette. You are not making any sense. I struggle to keep my words from faltering. Thinking to herself. How is Mother alive? And what does he mean by a prison? Okay, interesting. Mithros. The Tenebrarum is the Queen's prison. It is linked to the Queen's power. Though others presumed she was dead, the Queen sealed the last of her powers inside the crystal. All she requires is your power, princess. Lucette. My power? Mithros. When you become the next bearer, you will have the ability to release the Queen from her prison. Lucette, thinking to herself. My birthday is in a week. That is when I am meant to take on the responsibilities of becoming the bearer, though Parfait and Delora never went into more detail beyond that. Mithros. You'll finally get to see your mother again, princess. Lucette, thinking to herself. I still cannot quite take in everything he has just said. However, if Mithros had approached me before the curse, I would have helped Mother in a heartbeat. But it was Mother who was the last Tenebrarum bearer, and the one who brought darkness to Angiel. I once believed that Mother was the only person to ever love me. Now I know that I was wrong, that she shut me in from a world that I should have known. But still, even now, I wish she was here. I take a deep breath. Lucette, thinking to herself. But I cannot afford to be selfish. I cannot put anyone else in danger. Out loud. I will not help you. Mithros. You don't have a choice, princess. I have set the stage for my queen's return. All that's left is to free her from her cage. We will speak more of this at the dining table. Mithras leaves the room, leaving me briefly with Varg. Varg smiles at me beneath his mask, then brings his index finger to the temple of his head and loops it. So, he mouths the word crazy. Lucette out loud. You said you would tear witches apart, so why do you serve Mithros? Varg. A good question. Lucette. Silence. Varg. Silence. Lucette. You are not going to answer me. Varg. How perceptive of you, princess. He smirks at me before following Mithros out the door. I am once again left by myself in the room. Everything Mithros has just told me swirls through my mind. My mother, alive. And he killed everyone, only to take the crown and keep it for her. A shudder runs through my body. Lucette, out loud. She cannot return. I spend the next hour looking around my room for things that might aid my escape. I know where everyone else's rooms are too, but I have no idea how heavily guarded they are, and I doubt I could help them. Lucette, thinking to herself. I must return to the Marchen. I test the window, but it is locked, probably with magic. I search my shelves. The dolls that used to comfort me can do nothing for me now. Last, I check my drawers, but though there are many things in them, there is nothing that looks like it could help me escape. As I am searching, I come across a box and pause to pick it up. Lucette, thinking to her. Oh, interesting. Lucette, thinking to herself. I remember this. It was given to me by Mother with strict instructions not to open it and always keep the key hidden. Oh, I wonder if she just found the Tenebrarum crystal. I searched the drawer again for the key. The moment I begin to set the box down, I see a small golden key at the bottom of the drawer. I pick it up and I am about to open the box when I stop. Lucette, thinking to herself. This is hardly a priority right now. I set the key down next to the box. Lucette, no! Why would you just stop halfway through and then just leave the key right there next to the box? That is just exceedingly... Okay, we'll see how this goes. I'm gonna just keep going, just keep pressing on. Lucette, out loud. I should be searching for a way to escape. I turn to see Varg's smiling face at the door. Varg. You look like a criminal who's just been caught doing something naughty. Lucette. Says the criminal himself. Varg. Maybe we're meant for each other. I narrow my eyes as he approaches. Behind his back I can make out the open door. Varg. Don't even think about it. You don't want me to pounce you in the hallways, do you? That would be unpleasant. Lucette. Silence. Varg grabs my wrist. I attempt to struggle free, but he holds tight to me. I will, Varg, out loud. I will be your escort to dinner tonight. I keep my head held high as Varg escorts me from the room. On the way to the dining hall, I glimpse the rest of the palace. It is mostly empty, save for a few soldiers. The soldiers that do stand there have a glazed look in their eyes and look right through me. Varg, out loud. Puppets. Lucette. A spell cast by Mithros? Varg does not answer me as he pulls me through the hallway. Soon I find myself in the dining hall. The guards usually standing by the walls are gone. Now there is only the royal family, and they seem to be unharmed. King Gennaro. You... Lucette, shocked. I can see recognition in the king's eyes. My heart flutters as he stands, or tries to. He manages to rise, but only just barely. I notice that his feet stay firmly planted where they are. Everyone's bodies look exceptionally stiff. Lucette, thinking to herself. Is this some kind of spell? Oh, of course he only remembers her from that. King Gennaro, out loud. You are the girl that was outside my palace months ago. Mithros, what is the meaning of this? I notice that the king is not at the head of the table as usual. Everyone sits on the table's sides, except for Mithros, who is at the far end. The king's seat, however, is clear. Mithros. I simply brought back the crown princess. You should be thanking me, Gennaro. I have reunited you with your daughter. King Gennaro. My daughter? The king raises an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. I can see in his eyes that he is loath to trust anything Mithros has to say. The king slumps in his chair as Varg leads me to a seat just beside Rod. I notice Emmeline sitting just to Rod's side. She forces a smile onto her face, but I can see tears gathering in her eyes. Mithros. Allow me to offer a more formal introduction for our guest, even though you all know her. Her name is Lucette Riella Breton, and she is the crown princess of Angiel. And your blood daughter, Gennaro. King Gennaro. Silence. The king looks at me again. This time there is more uncertainty in his gaze. Mithros. Prince Rod will tell you, won't he? King Gennaro. Rod? Rod. Silence. Rod looks at me, his gaze quiet but expectant. I turn to the king and to the rest of my stepfamily. I'm gonna go ahead and just roll with, yeah, I'm the crown princess. I am indeed the crown princess. Lucette, thinking to herself, this is my chance to prove to them that I am the princess. The king never believed me before, but here I can convince him. Out loud. I am indeed the crown princess, Lucette Riella Breton. I told you before, your majesty, but I was cursed, and you did not believe me. Now no one remembers who I am. King Gennaro. I would remember my own daughter. I flinch. A pained look comes onto the king's face as he stares at me. Rod. Silence. Mithros is smiling slyly at the end of the table, looking pleased by the further confusion I have caused. Lucette, thinking to herself, Is his purpose to only confuse everyone further? What kind of mind game is he playing? Mithros. Gennaro, she is undoubtedly your daughter. That is why she is in the room that you have been taking care of. Lucette. Out loud. What? The king's eyes widen. He looks at a loss for words. Mithros. Princess, the king has been keeping your room clean and tidy for the sake of nostalgia, and he has no idea why. Magic works in interesting ways, doesn't it? Lucette, thinking to herself, I was wondering why my room was unchanged, but could it be that the king remembers me somehow? Alright, I feel like enough time has passed to say that that was probably the wrong answer. Which makes sense, like, you know, how about we not play it directly into Mithros' mind games and instead let Rod be the one to confirm it? Lucette, thinking to herself, there is no point in trying to convince the king of my birthright here and now. I would only confuse him more, and now is not the time or place. I glance at Mithros, who is smiling at me expectantly. And honestly, the very fact that Mithros is smiling expectantly makes me be like, yeah, no, I shouldn't have done that. Lucette, thinking to herself, besides, Mithros must have a reason for insisting on my birthright right now. Most likely he just means to confuse the king more. If that is the case, I will not play into such a petty scheme. Out loud. My name is Lucette. Thank you for your kindness that one time. Rod, shocked. Rod looks shocked. I scowl at him before turning to look at Mithros. Mithros' smile has twisted into a frown. I feel proud in seeing him caught off guard. Okay, this is such a better answer that I feel bad that I got it wrong the first time, because I'm like, oh man, I never should have. Ah, well. It's fine. It's okay, because I went back and I fixed it. Mithros' smile has twisted into a frown. I feel proud in seeing him caught off guard. King Gennaro. Lucette, what are you doing here? Mithros. Gennaro, she is undoubtedly your daughter. That is why she is in the room that you have been taking care of. Right, and this is where it transitioned. And, like, it was less painful because her, like, because I think the thing that made her trying to insist on it really bad was the moment when he's like, I wouldn't forget my own daughter, and she, like, visibly flinches at that, because he's like, oh shit. I mean, theoretically, just theoretically, if I had forgotten my own daughter, that might be the face she'd make at me stating that. So, anyway. Lucette. What? The king's eyes widen. He looks at a loss for words. Mithros. Princess, the king has been keeping your room clean and tidy for the sake of nostalgia, and he has no idea why. Magic works in interesting ways, doesn't it? Lucette, thinking to herself. I was wondering why my room was unchanged, but could it be that the king remembers me somehow? I look up at him, but he has already glanced away from me, his expression a complicated twist of confusion and helplessness. Lucette, thinking to herself. It seems that even the king does not fully understand. I turn to Mithros. Out loud. Lucette says, It can work in both good and bad ways. Mithros. Ah, yes. The fairy tale curse is terrible, isn't it? I catch Varg's eyes from the side of the room. He glances away from me, and I follow his gaze to the corners of the room. I hadn't noticed them before, but now I see cloaked figures hiding in the shadows. Witches. Lucette, thinking to herself. They must be the ones holding everyone in place if they try to escape. Mithros. But not all magic is terrible, like the magic we will use to revive the queen. King Gennaro. You are insane! Hildir is mad! Mithros. You have no right to refer to her by name. A sudden chill envelops the room. I can feel actual icicles on the table. I pull my hands away. Mithros. Now, we are going to eat dinner, and we are going to enjoy it. Yeah, Myth was absolutely in love with Hildir. Mithros. And every day will be just like this until the queen returns. Rod glares across the table at Mithros. Out loud. Rod, out loud. Why? Mithros. Why would we not enjoy dinners together? Rod. That's not what I meant. Why go through this charade day after day? I stare across the table at Mithros, glaring. Mithros. I already told you before. I had to clear this place of traitors. Alcaster planned on stealing the crown, and I stole it back. But because the time of the Queen's revival is so close, I have decided to keep the crown with me until I can return it to its appropriate owner. King Gennaro. Hildir is... Mithros. Queen Hildir is the true owner of the crown. I thought it best that we all wait out her arrival together. But know this. When my queen demands it, I will kill all of you. I simply refuse to act without her orders. This time guards come into the room with food. They set it before us, and we are forced to eat beneath Mithros' watchful gaze. Though I try to spot an opening in the dining hall, I can find no way out. Lucette, thinking to herself, this really is a prison. 2 days pass. I have been searching for ways out and trying to ease more answers out of Varg and Mithros. Neither of them is very forthcoming. Both enjoy speaking in riddles. Varg especially is an enigma. Whenever I try to ask him about Fritz, he smirks at me and remains silent. Varg. What, not going to try and ask me any questions tonight? Lucette. Silence. Thinking to herself. I'm not going to get any answers from Varg, and it is almost my birthday. I need to find a way out of here. Varg. I'm disappointed. You're the only fun I have in here, princess. Lucette, thinking to herself. Maybe if I am quiet, he will leave me alone. Varg. If you're going to just be quiet and sulk, I guess I should be going. Remember, don't try anything funny. There are knights just outside your door. Varg bows mockingly. He leans down to pat me on the head before he turns and leaves. Lucette, thinking to herself, I cannot give up. I once again begin my search through the room. Time is running out and there is nothing I can do besides search for a way out. But I know that if I leave the room, the knights will catch me immediately. Lucette, thinking to herself, if I had a weapon, I might stand a chance. I put my fingers to my neck and remember what Chevalier told me about it. Woman. Sleep. Lucette, shocked. The sound comes from outside my door. It is a woman's voice. Ah! The door opens and suddenly Chevalier and Delora are both in my room. Chevalier. Princess! I am startled to see Chevalier standing before me, his eyebrows drawn over his eyes with great worry, and beside him stands Delora with her arms crossed. Delora. Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? Chevalier. We're here to stage a daring rescue! I rush to Chevalier and wrap my arms around him. He puts a hand on the small of my back and smiles down at me. We're going to get you out of here, Princess. Lucette. How did you both get in here? Chevalier. With the power of magic! Delora. Dramatic even at a time like this. The two exchange a look before looking at me seriously. Delora. Parfait, Waltz, the Knights, and Karma are all here. We thought we'd just be fighting witches, though. We weren't expecting the Knights. Chevalier. No matter what we said, we couldn't get through to them. Lucette. They're under a spell. Delora. Mithros. Lucette. He wants to release Mother. Both of them look at me with confusion. Delora. What? Lucette. Mother is still alive, just inside the Tenebrarum. Mithros wants to bring her back. Delora. That is impossible. Chevalier. The Queen is still alive? Chevalier looks worried, while Delora's expression is more rigid and resolute. Delora. We cannot let that happen. I don't know how the Queen would be alive in the first place, but... well, we'll worry about that later. Chevalier. Right, we have time to discuss the specifics of everything, but right now we need to get out of here. Delora. Right, everyone is keeping the guards and witches busy for you, Princess. I'll distract Mithros. Chevalier, I'm counting on you to get the princess to safety. Chevalier. That's why I'm here. Princess, can you guide me through the palace? Lucette. I cannot just leave everyone here. Delora. Don't worry, Garland is seeing to saving your family. Lucette. No, I cannot just leave everyone in the Marten here to do things for me. Chevalier. Lucette, we cannot afford to lose you. I told you I would do anything to protect you, and I will. The sooner you're safe, the sooner we'll have the advantage. Delora. You are the legitimate heir to the throne and the next Tenebrarum bearer. You cannot let yourself remain in Mithros' hands. Chevalier. The situation is indeed most dire, so for now we must hurry. I nod my head feebly. Without another word, the three of us head towards the door. Delora exits first and stops immediately. I almost run into her. I glance through the doorway and see Varg waiting just outside, holding a blade across Delora's neck. Delora holds up her hands and deflects the sword as it slides harmlessly past her neck. Varg slides away, still holding out his sword. His usual smirk is half-hearted at best. Delora. Get out of our way! Varg. You're awfully demanding, aren't you? Delora. Pretty please? Varg. No can do, my lady. Delora. Shame. Looks like I'll have to destroy that pretty mask of yours along with everything else underneath. Are we gonna get a Vargas Fritz reveal in Rumpel's route? That would be interesting. Huh. Also, can I just say, I love their banter. I kind of want to just go back and read that one more time. I'm gonna just go back and forth and try to differentiate it by the voices, see how I do. Get out of our way. You're awfully demanding, aren't you? Pretty please? No can do, my lady. Shame. Looks like I'll have to destroy that pretty mask of yours, along with everything else underneath. I'm sorry, that was just so good. That was such a good back and forth. Delora holds up her hand and summons a wall of electric orbs. With a flick of her wrist, she sends them rushing towards Varg, who dodges with surprising speed. Varg's movements appear sluggish, but I have seen his fast reflexes. He is playing with Delora, even though I do not think he has the advantage. He drops the sword, and for a few moments I feel Delora has the advantage. Then suddenly, he raises the cane he usually holds at his side and taps it on the ground. A burst of smoke escapes from the bottom of it, shrouding the room. Delora. An enchanted cane? Varg. You're not the only one with tricks up your sleeve. Lucette. Delora. Chevalier. Delora. Chevalier, get her out of here! Chevalier. Let's go, princess! Chevalier takes my hand in his and begins to lead me away. I turn to glance back at Delora and Varg, and realize that while Delora is completely on the offensive, Varg does nothing but dodge. Lucette, thinking to herself, it is as if he is trying to buy time for something. I banish the thought from my head as Chevalier pulls me down the hall. Karma. How rude! Haven't you ever heard of chivalry? Night A. Silence. I spot Karma, still in his dress, holding a sword out at the man in front of him. When the man lunges, Karma dodges back and grunts as his back comes to the wall. Karma. I suppose chivalry is dead, then. He steps off to the side as the possessed knight attacks him with his blade. The sword catches his dress, but does not hinder him from stepping forward and aiming a jab with his sword beneath the knight's armor. The knight kneels, but the sword does not fall from his hand. Karma looks up at us sharply. Karma. What are you doing just standing there? Move! Chevalier, shocked. It takes me a moment to realize that just as I was frozen, so too was Chevalier. His face is pale as he grabs my hand again and once again starts rushing me down the other side of the hall. Chevalier's steps are wider than mine, and I have to struggle to keep up. But the further we go down the hallway, the more apparent it becomes that there are too many obstacles in the way. We pass Shireen and Garland as we move too, and they manage to clear a path for us. Lucette, thinking to herself, these knights, will they not stop moving until Mithros is defeated? I hope the king and everyone else are safe. As we pass Durian and Garland, I tell them where the royal family is, but I have no way of knowing if the words reached their ears amidst all the sound. Chevalier. Silence. Lucette. Chevalier? Chevalier. So the stab wounds in the armor that I saw earlier were from the knights themselves, but why would they battle each other? Lucette. What? Chevalier. The punctures in the armor that we saw at the clinic, the stab wounds in the gut and at the arms. Chevalier's eyes are so distant, it is as if he is looking right through me. Chevalier. They were... Lucette. We need to keep moving. I take his hand and lead him forward. Aww, I kind of like that. I like that there's a good vibe of give and take in their relationship. And just demonstrated from right here, where Chevalier is the one to lead her outside of the room and drag her along as she's trying to accept the fact that she has to run. Whereas now that he's getting hung up on doctor distress, presumably, Lucette is the one being like, okay, no, we gotta move. Like, I like that. I like that transition from Chevalier being the one pulling her to her being like, okay, now I need to pull him along. Lucette, thinking to herself, I do not know what he is talking about, but we can talk about this later. Right now, we have to escape. We are closer to the palace entrance when we see them. A group of knights stand in two lines on both sides of the hall, facing each other. At the far end of the hallway stands a gaggle of witches, and in between them, Mithros. Mithros. Good evening. Did you enjoy your stroll around the palace? Oh my. Okay. T'Pau says there's a commercial, so I will hold off just a bit. And I assume that she will let me know as soon as the commercial is over. Oh, fair enough. Okay, bye, Tipao. Alright. Well, you may not see me saying bye, but bye anyway. Alright, well, I'll give it another... Yeah, alright. I'm gonna just hope that either the ads are done, or like, everything... Yeah. Okay. Mithros. Good evening. Did you enjoy your stroll around the palace? Chevalier immediately moves to stand in front of me. The cloudiness is gone from his eyes. But what leaves his mouth is not a demand, but a question. Chevalier. How could you do this? Mithros. How? It was quite easy, actually. Chevalier. You know what I mean. Why would you make the knights fight one another? Mithros. What a foolish question. Obviously, it is because they are inconsequential. Chevalier, shocked. Mithros. On a stage, some pawns exist as easily replaceable extras. I am interested in keeping only the actors. In the grand scheme of things, the extras aren't needed. In fact, I can make them do whatever I need in order to get the best outcome. He snaps his fingers and the knights raise their swords. I tense, thinking that the knights are going to turn to us, but they never do. Mithros. Here is an interlude for you to enjoy. Lucette, shocked. The knights are thinking to herself. The knights are attacking each other? The sound of metal ringing against metal fills the air. The knights' swords arc, dive, and stab. Mithros watches from behind them, the sly smile never leaving his lips. The two of us can only stand there, stunned into silence. It isn't long before we can see red. The smell of blood begins to linger in the air as swords cut through flesh. Abruptly, I snap to my senses. I attempt to move forward, but Chevalier remains firmly grounded. Chevalier, silence. Lucette. Chevalier! Chevalier, more silence. Mithros. I heard many things about the doctor working at the clinics. I heard that he was a volunteer who had assisted in helping the injured during the Great War. I also heard that until just recently he had been cursed. I knew immediately upon seeing you that you were that volunteer. I suppose it is unavoidable that you and the princess know each other, but to think you would be so close. Chevalier just stares blankly ahead. He looks almost like he is under a spell. His eyes are glazed. I continue to call his name. His eyes follow the sword movements of the knights, and he does not even spare me a glance. Yeah, dude with his morals and, like, ideals would be extremely traumatized by this, yeah. Mithros. Have I unraveled the doctor? I mean, he might have. Just saying. Anyway, well, that was the end of Chapter 9, so it looks like Tapao won't have missed much, but whew, things are pretty chaotic, and we've got one more chapter left to wrap everything up, so let's see how that goes. Of course, if they are able to take Mithros out in this scene, or in the continuation of this particular scene, that would solve all the rest of the problems, but considering Chapter 10 was called Not Like Mother, I'm pretty sure it will be Lucette, like, proving that she is not like her mother that saves the day in some way or another. Unclear how, but we'll see. And it looks like Varg was not yet unmasked. That reveal is being saved for Fritz's route, I would assume. Alright. So with that, I shall bid you all adieu. I will be returning, and I should be back on a normal schedule, and I don't anticipate... Oh, shoot. Monday the 4th. I'm not back on a normal schedule. Oh, no. I might stream on the 4th, depending on how my timing for other things works out. So let's call the 4th a tentative. But I'd say check on the 4th, and if I'm not streaming on the 4th, then I will be streaming Chapter 10 on the 11th. Both Mondays at my usual time. So yeah, And other than that, I'm not sure if I can I might actually be able to do a Wednesday stream this week, but if not, I'll be back on Friday with my usual NES shenanigans. So, alright. Bye, everybody! Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching later. I appreciate you all very much. Bye!